Well, good morning, everyone. I hope you can all hear me. Today, we're going to be picking up in our series on classical mathematics. I'm just going to post the link for those who I have posted a YouTube option, and then I'm going to post one more here. Let's see. I'm going to post it also on my Facebook as a comment. I'll just put it there. So that makes it easy to just share with others who might be interested. Um, they can watch it also using the link. Okay, so let's get started. Today I'm going to start with an unusual beginning. And my beginning is to share a picture that I heard about recently. Let me share the picture. I am pretty sure that there's some truth to this discussion. And this is our starting point to our discussion. Our discussion starts here, right? Somebody posted this in the group. He said, Amos, don't look for trouble. I'm not looking for trouble, but let me just make a comment, a few comments, if you don't mind. Um, I love what Brother Daniel shared, and some of that on the group when somebody posted this. And some of the reason why this is interesting is that we have work to do, my people. We have serious work to do. And the work we have to do, of course, we have, the classical education framework. We have work to call people to the true, the good, the beautiful, to focus on what actually matters. But the problem is that, well, within that also, the reason we're here tonight is about classical mathematics and teaching math in a classical way. And I really want you to understand that you're living at a very interesting time in history. And you have an opportunity to make a massive impact, especially in Africa. But let me say this for those who don't know, those watching from other parts of the world. There's a body that manages exams, and there's an element of this again that I've seen, whether it's been stated clearly or not. This idea that math is not, like, some people are just not math people, so we should somehow reduce some of our expectations for them. Well, I think the other way we can tackle this problem is to maybe think through how we should teach math in such a way that more people begin to love mathematics. So that's where I want to start my discussion today, is the fact that everybody should be given the opportunity to reach their fullest potential in mathematics, independent of what they want to do with their lives. The reason we learn mathematics is not simply because of its applicability, of which there are many reasons that there's many applications, but it's because of its inherent beauty. That is the reason we should learn mathematics. But unfortunately, mathematics education and math, unfortunately, has been hijacked. So we need to redeem mathematics education. That's part of what my Substack was about this week. And my Substack, I have one called Counting to Calculus. It's actually going to be changed to Amos the Math Guy, but that's you can find it at Counting to Calculus. Okay, now let's go back to my slides. So I know I was looking for trouble small, but this is sad news. A nation that will drop the bar in any way in mathematics is doing a massive disservice to its people. Instead of figuring out how to get more people to love mathematics, I think it's unfortunate how we're attacking this problem. So let's look at this for a second. This is let me see. Okay, let me know. You should be able to see my screen. Give me 1 second. Okay, perfect. So we're talking about the classical mathematics parent and teacher training program. It's a year-round, exploration. And the reason why we do this for a period of time is because we're trying to build certain mindsets. You can't build those mindsets in 2 weeks or 4 weeks, right? It takes time. But those of you who are on this call who are interested in teaching mathematics are also welcome to, again, reach out to me so that we start talking of ways to get you into our internship where you actually get to demonstrate your understanding of some of what we're trying to accomplish in teaching math classically. So what that means is that these calls are for people who just want to appreciate mathematics and see its beauty. That's fine. You want to just come and get the math education you wish you had but you didn't have. But the second category of people are people who say, Amos, I love mathematics, I love this classical stuff, but I actually want to teach. I want to help some students, whether they're in America, the UK, Nigeria, Kenya. I want them to learn mathematics classically. If you are in this second category, please let me know, because we're working to build more and more, sort of a database of teachers and tutors that can help people as well. So let's keep that in mind as we go on, that everybody is welcome to just come and enjoy, but then there's a second group that will actually be doing some work. Okay, so I've talked about that. Again, we have people from Kenya, then Zimbabwe, Zambia, Ghana that have joined us, over the registration. Kenya is becoming a very key location, I think. I just think there's something about Kenya. Almost every week, Kenya keeps coming to mind. I do have a student who's in Kenya that I work with. They're an American student and they're doing missions work for a year there. And so, anyways, Kenya is a very interesting place. I think a strategic East hub, I think, for some of the work we're doing. And then, of course, Zambia and so on. But the moral of the story is anybody's welcome to join these. But those who are interested in the classical tradition and those who are looking for a robust and a rigorous math journey, this is where you want to hang out with us once a month. And I promise, God willing, I'll log in 10 minutes earlier next time so that this problem will be resolved sooner if there's a problem. We also have, I just got back in from Houston yesterday, and so my schedule was a little off, but good to see you all. By the way, I think it's showing small. Let me change that. 1 second. Don't know why it's tiny. Why is it? I think it's showing tiny on your screen too. Interesting. Let me go back here. I'm going to change this so that it's showing bigger. So we're going to I think this is better. I mean, it's not the best, but it's better than what we had. Okay, I think this is better, if you don't mind. Okay, so this is the classical mathematics training program. We're basically going to provide families with support to teach their children mathematics from a classical tradition. One of the things is that I think is interesting is, do you know, before I read some more from Paul Lockhart, do you know that there's a famous quote about a guy who said, basically, if you want people to sail in the ocean, right? The way you do it is not just by telling them to go and build the boats, right? To go and build the ships that they are going to use to go to the ocean. The way you do it is by making them to long for the seas. And I'll send you guys the exact quote afterwards. But the point is this: we need to teach people to long for the seas, to long for the beauty of mathematics. And then when they engage with mathematics, many things happen. I'm going to say something right now, and the context is very critical for what I'm saying, but I'm not apologizing for what I'm about to say. Due to the state of advancements in our world and so on and so forth right now, there is actually it is better not to do maths in the schools, in most schools of the world. You're actually better off not doing mathematics in school. Like, you're better off not doing it if it is not inspiring you to love it. Amos, wow. You're saying that we should have people drop out of math. I'm saying that is one option we can explore if we're not going to take math seriously. That's my point. Now, some people don't want to do more math simply because some of what I showed you in the beginning. That's a whole different story. But my point is this: the way math is taught sometimes is actually detrimental to a child actually doing math and flourishing in it. So that if that child did not come to school and they learned it on their own, for example, they might actually stumble their way and become good at it. That's what's crazy. There are so many stories in math history, I can tell you, of people who dedicated their lives, right? One of them is Srinivasa Ramanujan. He did not learn math in a traditional sense. He had a book and he had passion, and he became one of the best mathematicians in history. Isaac Newton learned a lot of mathematics by himself during the plague in 1664 to 1666. Leonhard Euler met with Bernoulli regularly, but he learned a lot of mathematics also by himself. James Clerk Maxwell did a lot of mathematics by himself. My point is this: our current math education system is not that you'll be okay, just do it and you'll be okay. No, most mathematics education, like most of what we see globally, is actually sad because it's not inspiring children to love math. And the reason why I'm saying this and why it's critical is that if mathematics is reduced to state standards and just computation alone, we are destroying mathematics in broad daylight. That is the problem before us. Because there are now computers that can do the computations better than human beings and faster than human beings on many levels. So we can't focus on computation because that shouldn't be the goal. Computation is important, but we need to make sure the students have the life behind the math they're learning. Why am I learning this? Who came up with this? Why does it matter? How can I extend my knowledge about this further than any book has given me? Mathematics is like music. Imagine a society where music education has been made mandatory. Educators, school systems, and the state are put in charge of this vital project without the advice of a single working musician. Children spend years copying notes onto staff paper, transposing into different keys, memorizing the circle of fifths, playing and listening to music are postponed until college. Music class is where we take out our staff paper, our teacher puts some notes on the board, and we copy them. We have to make sure to get the clefs and key signatures right. Lockhart asked the question that should haunt every math classroom on earth. That's what he starts talking about. Guys, this is an interesting time in history, and I'm excited because by God's grace, I think we're going to see something happen again. You remember Euclid? We say Euclid of Alexandria. I don't know if you guys remember. Euclid of Alexandria. That's interesting. Hypatia of Alexandria. Okay. What is up with Alexandria? Okay, so Egypt was very strategic when it came to mathematics. Why can't we see Nonso of Lagos? Why can't we see that? We will, by God's grace, right? Johnson of Garkida, that's the name of my village. I just gave an example. My point is this. We are at such an interesting point that people are not paying close attention. And let me explain what the point is and how classical mathematics, like classical schools and classical education is the only hope for education, period. It is the only hope. The reason why it is the only hope is that it focuses on deep thinking, contemplation, and not just efficiency and checking boxes. Because if it is about efficiency and checking boxes, AI will destroy our efforts. We can't do that anymore. And you guys know I'm also an AI instructor. I'm not saying AI itself is the problem. I'm saying that our education system is the problem. And we need to find ways to be wise and to call students back to living their lives to the fullest and not making them into robots and machines, which is what the education system started doing in massive numbers in the 18 and 1900s. And there was a time where we had all these children that were working in factories. You guys understand that there was a time where children were working in factories. People like John Wesley and William Wilberforce. These are some of my heroes, especially William Wilberforce. I love his work. I started a whole company in Nigeria called Wilberforce Euler Academy. That's actually a dream. I have a dream for a center, a learning place called Wilberforce Euler Academy. And God willing, someday we're going to have this place that brings together statespeople or people who know their humanities deeply, people who know mathematics deeply, in the same room. They're both learning together, right? So that's what Wilberforce Euler Academy, that's the name of the program there that I started. But I bring this up to say that they fought to end children working in industries and factories. They did that, and this was good, right? But the problem became when society, over time, and other people fought for this too, but when society started getting these children back into some sort of an education rhythm, some of it was focused on efficiency and it was standardized in such a way that it then led to the children to be treated almost like robots and not as individuals tailored in the image of God. That is part of what I'm trying to get at. The education system was not built to raise critical, analytical thinkers like Plato and Aristotle and so on. That's not what the education system was built for. But what if we use math education to let's redeem math education, and then let's take back education as a whole. Families, parents have to step up like never before. Those days where parents will send their children to school and say, oh, my children will figure it out or whatever, or their teachers will figure it out. No, parents need to be working in partnership with whoever is teaching their children. And parents need to take the mantle and take it seriously like never before. I'm going to do a whole book on this and probably a podcast with Brother Daniel, and we'll probably dive into this further. But parenting now has to be more hands-on, more involved with the education, like the education piece of teaching your children. So when it comes to mathematics, Paul Lockhart has struck a nerve here. He's struck on something, and this is apparently a dream. He did a good job of giving us an analogy, and this should make us wake up. Mathematics is key. If you don't know math in the AI revolution, if you don't know math in this era that you live in, you are in serious trouble. And yet, our schools are giving children homework sometimes without explaining the concepts or the context. And people who would have maybe done okay in math are dropping out. They don't like math. They hate math. But that's what has happened. And we have to take it back. And it starts, God willing, with the ACCE Africa and the County to Calculus and the educators that are saying it's time to take it back. We don't have time. And the reason why I have this urgency in my bones is because, guys, as an AI researcher also, I see where these things are going. Like, let me tell you one news update that broke this week. And you guys will see part of why. Amos, wow, Amos, calm down. Are you angry? I'm not angry at anyone. I'm just saying that I don't think people are paying attention to what's coming. And let me explain one of the things coming. So the reason why AI works is called, one of the reasons is called the transformer architecture. So ChatGPT, the T stands for transformer. The current AI systems, in many ways, are doing pretty good at many tasks. And sometimes people can't even delineate or differentiate between, wait, who wrote that, right? So the AI systems are doing pretty good. And they're getting better every year, right? Some of them are now doing PhD level math work, PhD mathematicians. PhD mathematicians are using AI sometimes to double check certain aspects of their proofs. Like, guys, just think about that. People now have a PhD mathematician type tool in their pockets. I'm not saying AI is perfect, no. But I'm saying, like, if you had to pick between a certain AI model and a reluctant learner that was average and mediocre in math, which one would you want to use to solve a problem you had before you? Probably the AI model, right? And the AI models are getting more sophisticated. And there's one more thing that has happened with AI models that I don't think people are paying attention to. The models now have the ability to do research as, like, they'll control your computer and click on websites and grab data. So the models can actually do that now. This is different from the time where you just ask the AI model, what is the capital of France? And then it had to do, let me just search my training data. No, now the AI models are agentic. They can do things, right? But here's the point Amos wants to make. Just this week or a couple of weeks ago, Google, the same organization that gave us the transformer architecture that is powering the AI revolution. Are you ready for this? They're computer scientists. Some of them came out and said, you know what? This transformer architecture and some of this stuff is not good enough. We need a new architecture, something way better. Why is Amos laughing? The one you have now, people are already like, this thing is interesting, blah, blah, blah. And the people that made it, some of the people that made it are saying, oh, no. This thing is still a child. It doesn't understand. Let's do better. What does that mean? That means that a year from now, the AI models, if this new model, the nested learning model and some of the work they're doing, if that works out better, like, the whole education system based on efficiency is gone. It's completely gone. It's gone in the sense that it cannot and will not be able to keep up with knowing, like, teachers cannot try to be detectives. Oh, John, did you use AI or did you not? Those things, you wouldn't know anymore. So why does this all matter, guys? Sorry, let me tie it up here. Because there's a form of education I call threat-based education. Threat-based education is learn this or you don't go to college. Do this or that doesn't happen. That's almost like a threat. We're threatening the kids. But there's a different way to teach, which is, hey, John, you're a human being made in the image of God, blessed with certain gifts and abilities, and a mind that needs to be sharpened. I'm here to walk with you and help you flourish to the max, ultimately for the glory of God. That's what education needs to become. That's what there is no other reason, because there are agents now. There are agentic systems that can do work. We don't need human beings to become robots. We need human beings to be human. Classical education needs to tie this in a robust math framework, because right now we have the humanities, but we need the mathematics. Okay, Amos, calm down. Okay, so let's now go on to the next topic. So 2 ways to teach the same triangle. Someone is trying to learn the area of a triangle is half base times height, right? In many schools, we just tell you to memorize it and that's it, right? But what if I want to take the triangle and break, take a rectangle and split it into two triangles? Like, there are different ways to think about problems. It doesn't have to be one way, right? You can split a triangle in half. So the triangle is exactly half the box. The formula is basically, if I know length times height, breadth times height is the formula for well, length times base. I apologize. Length times width, we say, or length times breadth. I have to decide which English I'm speaking today, British or American. Anyways, I'm still speaking British English, by the way. People still laugh at me in America sometimes when I speak British English. Anyways, I think they own the. I joke and say, is it not them that brought the language? So I should speak their version. So my point is, in our traditional classrooms, we are sometimes. Can I just be? Let me just tell you guys something that really, really frustrates me when I'm teaching students. So I've been teaching students now for about 20 years. And one of the things that really frustrates me these days, I don't know if it's just old age, because I'm getting old now, but I think that one of the things that frustrates me is when a child comes to me and says they have a homework question. So then I tell them, okay, let's work on the problem. I'll now start showing them the problem. And guess what some of them say sometimes? They say, Mr. Amos, that's not how our teacher taught us. Hey, 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 and it's not because of just me. No, it's not because, oh, why won't you do Mr. Amos' way? No. My point is that that child feels locked into only one method, that doing anything else almost feels like a sin. If you're a math teacher on this call, I want to give you a word of encouragement. If a child can solve a problem and prove or show why the way they are solving the problem is valid, please don't scold them. It is okay to be creative in mathematics within the realm of logic. It is okay. And so we look at the state of math education, and there's so many children with potential, but it's just being wasted. Partly because sometimes the teacher says we must do it only one way. Who said that? Why? Right? Now, sometimes it's because the teachers themselves feel like, well, they don't want to leave, the road and make a mistake or whatever. No, here's the thing. Math teachers, by God's grace, right? If we all work hard at this, we can help math teachers to grow their craft, improve their skill, and therefore not be afraid that, oh, am I making a mistake? So what I'm saying is math teachers need to be flexible and teach their students to be flexible. But that takes that extra practice, right? There's a famous man called G.H. Hardy. He was the one who mentored Ramanujan. Ramanujan is the one I told you who came from India, and he transformed the world of mathematics. And Ramanujan read a book by a man named Carr. I think it was George Carr or something like that. And that book changed Ramanujan's life. I have that book here. And you guys should remind me, we need to build a library for ACCE Africa and just stack it up with books, right? Let's get books from Cambridge, Oxford, everywhere. And let's just start building libraries all across Africa. And then we have library research centers or research centers. And that just helps us in this quest to get people to really get to love mathematics. And this is what G.H. Hardy said. A mathematician, like a poet or painter, is a maker of patterns. If his patterns are more permanent than theirs, it is because they are made with ideas. Hey, mathematics is one of the best tools to sharpen the mind. No matter what you want to do with your life, doing more mathematics will not harm you. But make sure you learn it sequentially on a mastery-based path. Mastery-based path, not any other kind of path. Our current school systems, if you get 85%, we move you on to the next grade level. But the problem is this. If I got 85% and I never figured out why I didn't get the 15% right, I will actually become frustrated potentially because I will repeat some mistakes of the 15% I never figured out. We have to teach our students to take corrections seriously. When I was in primary school, I still remember, if you got a problem wrong, you have to do corrections. Do you know that there are some teachers that don't require corrections? And please, if you're one of those teachers, I'm not calling you out. We can all repent today. Even me, I have repenting to do on things, right? You cannot allow a student to go forward without them realizing what they did wrong in the unit they were in. But Amos, that's a lot of work. So I'm talking about some of the pedagogy and some of the strategies in general. But the next level of what we need to discuss is the specific strategies for executing some of these things. How do we execute this type of education in a school setting? My recommendation is that every classroom, every math classroom should have a math assistant, like an assistant teacher. You need to have two people, one that can give some of the information and the other one that can act as like a support system, so that when they notice confusion going on with some students, or if some students are not clear about something, it's easy to then have a second person in the room, right? So what we need to do is build a network where we have people who are qualified teachers, but then we also have these people who are like, let's say, a secondary school or university graduate who is sitting at home and wants to learn a craft. Hey, something just went through my mind. Let me just say something. Um, if you have any questions, thoughts, comments, objections, please feel free to put it in the question and answer section. One of the things that happened that people don't know is there's a man by the name of John Dalton. How many people remember John Dalton? He was a guy in chemistry, Dalton's atomic structure. Dalton was a big deal, right? How old was Dalton when he became the head of his school? Essentially, the equivalent of like leading a school, where he was taking responsibility for learning, right? He was 18 years old. I know today's topic is not about society, sociology, and the problem of the teenage definition, but do you know that by definition, some of what we've done is we've allowed teenagers not to have certain kinds of responsibility? My people, young people have a lot of potential and capability, and we don't even give them the opportunity to exercise it. And as a side comment, I'm reading, right, that in the next 20 years, Africa will have about 25 years, about 25% of the population of young people. Wow. We have work to do to raise the next generation of leaders, that will work towards a goal of seeing human flourishing all across the continent. And ultimately, of course, others on this call from other parts of the world, we want to see human flourishing, period. So number one, mathematics is the music of reason. Number one, a discipline of the mind. Math is a sport with rules, an art with freedom. Every student, again, should ask when they make a mistake, what rule did I break? Number two, it's a way of seeing creation. Mathematics alone is enough to point to the fact that there's a God. The very fact that our minds can even comprehend the universe is an interesting phenomenon. You will hear me say things like, I want people to learn the history and philosophy of math and science. And that's part of what we're trying to do. This is the other reason that classical schools need to put certain things in gear. Because mathematics being taught without the philosophical implications is like just teaching people to, come sit down, let me just teach you this, like this application of this tool and so on and so forth, but I'm not going to take time to explain to you why it even works in the first place. Number three, it is like a pathway to wisdom of its own. Reasoning in a systematic approach. If you're on this call and you're a writer and you want to work on curriculum writing, I would love to also talk with you about what we're going to do with curriculum writing. One of the things we're going to do with curriculum writing is I want to write a book, a series of books, specifically for ACCE Africa in conjunction with the co-authors here. But the goal then becomes a standard text and series of texts that children can use all around the world. But we're starting right here with our group writing the book. So I already have the framework. We're just going to take the framework and we're going to mold the framework to fit the goals, right? So for example, if you want to bring it to Kenya, we will have analogies and examples using the Kenyan shillings. If you want to bring it to Uganda, we'll use your own currency. And I apologize, I don't know everybody's currency. But the point is, when we're talking about money in our book, we'll use the money that you know, right? So please, if you are interested, and I don't know if someone, I think our project manager, a project coordinator here, please let's make a list of the different roles that people can play within the bigger vision, because we have our work cut out for us, as they say in America. So we need teachers, we need curriculum writers, we need people to just speak to their community members and tell them, wake up. Wake up, because if your child knows mathematics, you can literally give them the opportunity to be a blessing to the world. Because mathematics does not require a lab. It requires a mind, a pencil, and paper. Mathematics is so unique, and that's why, let me just say this part, and I promise I'm not angry at anybody when I'm saying this. Africa has a chance right now to transform academia, because the race is no longer on the basis of who has the best chemistry labs or the best physics labs. No, it is who has the best logical reasoning capabilities. And logic does not require a lab. That means all I need is pencil and paper. So our project manager, please let us go ahead and we'll do a co-branded journal that we'll have along with a pen and paper. Like, I want to have this branded journal, right? Whatever we want to call it. And the idea of this journal is that it's something people can take notes in, right? And we begin to ship it all across Africa, right? So all the ACCE members will get to give feedback on it, and then we begin to ship it to different communities. My point is this: if you give me a pencil and paper, I can change the world. That was not always the case, but that is the case today. Why did I just say that? Because technology today is actually waiting for the next math breakthroughs in certain domains. Literally. Quantum computing, artificial intelligence, machine learning, all of some of these things require math algorithms. Math algorithms come from people that understand mathematics deeply. Africa, we can do this. Now, again, of course, I'm in America. I want America to do this. I want people to do well in math all across the world. But on this call, most of you are from all the different parts of Africa. And I'm just saying, this is a great opportunity. Get children to love math so much that on Friday nights, they're asking their friends after Bible study, can we do mathematics together? During the holiday, let's see math camps all across Africa, everywhere around the world. Like, this is a wonderful time in history to really embrace mathematics and give children a chance to reach their fullest potential in mathematics. We are recovering what was lost, or almost lost, but I would argue a lot of it was lost. Before the Industrial Revolution, mathematics was not taught as a procedure alone. It was, we talk about the quadrivium: arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy. The four arts that prepared the mind to contemplate the order of the world, right? Euclid, Archimedes, Pascal, Newton. These guys are connected. We need our students to see the connection. You know what's even cool? I would like to see a journal started by our students where they are publishing their discoveries as they're doing mathematics and learning things in classical mathematics. Of course, I would like a journal for us also, the teachers on this call, or anybody on this call who wants to write about how to teach math classically. But guys, I hope you're beginning to see this is a time in history where we literally have work to do, like Nehemiah had when he had to build the walls. We have to build. This is the time to build. Can your students connect the dots between how these people are related? Can your students connect the dot if I give them a bunch of random math and physics people? Can they connect the dots of who did what? Blaise Pascal made the calculating machine. He only lived till the age of 39, but with it, like we would say he died young, but he lived a life where he made a huge impact, right? It's not always about how long you live, it's how well did you live. When you teach mathematics, take time to inspire your students with stories about not just like, yes, stories about the history of mathematics, but I'm saying talk about the human realities and try back to what it means to be human. So Pascal was sick a lot of the time. Tell your students they might face obstacles in life, but they should not give up. Look at what Blaise Pascal did with his life. Without Blaise Pascal, you and I would not be on this call today, because Pascal's calculating machine laid some of the groundwork for future computing, which has brought us here today. And then James Clerk Maxwell and Alexander Graham Bell and the work they did with radio waves and telephones. Guys, our students need to know these people like they're their friends, in a sense. And that leads to, it's funny, we're talking about character, right? In this age that we're living in, we need competence. Now, competence is a problem that needs to be solved. I'm writing a whole paper about competence. We need competence, but we also need character. And part of how this character is formed is in the Bible, it says iron sharpeneth iron. We need to encourage one another. Iron sharpeneth iron. So Daniel is my example, right? Of course, Brother Daniel is here too, and he has a special name. But I'm talking of the Daniel in the Bible, who was a contemporary of Pythagoras, by the way, who lived before Euclid, right? They both lived around 500 BC. And Daniel was a man of character, not just a man of competence, but he was both. You can have both. The problem we have sometimes is that some people are people of character, but they go to do their jobs and they're not good at their jobs. We all can improve in our jobs, right? I'm just speaking in general. But we need our students to pursue academic excellence. We need them to be thinking about the one who created the world. We need them to grow in character, and then we need them to be bold and courageous without compromise, right? So feel free to tie that all in as you're talking to them about mathematics when the opportunities present themselves. For example, when I'm teaching in mathematics and I see a topic that I can teach them a life lesson on, I bring that in. Why not? Because when you change your students' attitude, do you know that they go back and do the mathematics differently? And I just want to reassure everybody on this call again, you do not need your children to just simply meet bare standards anymore. I understand that countries have standards, but there are ways to teach those standards effectively that you finish teaching that in 10 weeks instead of 20 weeks. That is documented and a fact. That is actually very possible. Why does Amos want teachers not to be spreading out the details for too long? And some people here might say, Amos, you don't understand. I don't even have time to finish my syllabus. But that's because the way school systems write syllabus or the way governments write syllabus frameworks is not a mastery-based framework. We are creating the new framework, right? So, some people ask me, Amos, do you want to, when you start a school, are you going to do an accreditation? And I said, by God's grace, we're going to just create our own accreditation. And I called it Mastery-Based Education for Human Flourishing. That's the name of my accreditation. That's Mastery-Based Education for Human Flourishing. That is the only standard I want. One that ensures that the people in front of me are reaching their full potential. I met a doctor yesterday. That was a whole miracle of its own. But I was working, I'm a physicist, and I was working, doing some physics testing at his hospital, at his clinic. And then afterwards we were talking. And one of the things he said to me that was powerful is this. He said two things. I'll tell you the first part. His roommate in university was one of the first black people to go to school in Georgia. This was a long time ago. And that was his roommate. Until today, they're like best friends. He gave me his name and told me to say hi when I visit Atlanta. But the man said something to me that is powerful. Here's what he said. He said, education teaches things that are eternal, essentially. Guys, can we all digest that for a second? Education education involves the eternal. So what you teach your children, what you teach your students needs to be focused on the fact that on things that goes beyond just the classroom and that they can carry with them for life. That's the movement we're trying to push. Not just getting kids to be good at math, which by God's grace, if we all work together, the whole world will start coming to Lagos and Nairobi and asking, what are you people doing now? Why are your students all so good at math, right? This actually happened in the 1900s. You look at the best mathematicians, a lot of them from the 1900s, they came from the same place in East Europe. Like, where are all these people from? They're from Hungary. A lot of them are from the Hungary region. What are you guys doing? What kind of food are you eating? It's the same thing with Scotland. You study Scotland and you see the number of people from Scotland that were in philosophy and physics and what. He said, what are we eating now? Why is it the same people in Scotland? James Clerk Maxwell, James Watt, Adam Smith, on and on. These are the types of things we should be paying attention to. We need to learn from some of the best so that we can use those lessons to inspire our students. Now, for Scotland, when literacy went up, everything changed. Literacy is important, but that's another day's story. We'll probably have a guest, somebody talk about that. I'm sure you guys already talk about that. The Abolition of Man, you guys are studying that. That book needs to be mandatory reading for everybody, for every parent that wants to help their children flourish. Mandatory reading, no exceptions, right? If you don't want to read all of it, you can listen to it. By the way, God willing, when we go to Cambridge next year, we're going to go to Oxford as well. C.S. Lewis was involved at both Cambridge and Oxford. And when he was at Oxford, he actually used to meet with J.R.R. Tolkien in a specific location, which I can show us when we go, God willing. We are going to be working on the Cambridge logistics. But that's, unfortunately, I'm sorry, that's for August 2027. But of course, we want to know those who are interested, and we have a group that is going to be coordinating those details. You have to pay, of course, but we are going to talk to British Airways. We have put together a letter, and I want to see if British Airways might be willing to collaborate on this. Okay, so let's land our plane as the time is wrapping up. Number one, students need to learn how to count. Yes, counting. Number two, they need to learn how to modify the operations, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. I now have applications and tools to help parents improve on those skills with their kids. If a child does not know how to multiply, they should not learn fractions. If a child does not know fractions, you should not learn algebra. That is the nature of mathematics. Number three, students need to learn about fractions, ratios, proportions, right? Number four, students need to learn about the geometry side. Euclid. Everybody should be reading a little bit of Euclid, right? So part of what we need to do as ACCE Africa is probably start doing little glimpses of Euclid. Maybe we'll start posting short clips about Euclid's book and walk our way through Euclid, even if it takes us 2 years. But the point is, how cool would it be that we all then can say we've read Euclid, right? Euclid's elements of geometry. If you go to a job interview and they ask you, what do you do for fun? Oh, I read maths. Okay, what book have you read recently? I read Euclid's elements of geometry. I'll be surprised if they don't hire you, right? Just say I read Euclid, right? Because that means your mind is being sharpened. And then my journey in counting calculus is to get every child into calculus with confidence when they are ready, independent of their age. So mastery before moving forward. There are questions students should ask when they see a problem. What have I been given? What am I trying to solve? What rule or mechanism is in question? What tools do I already have? What should my answer look like? What does my answer mean? Is there a more efficient way? These are the types of things students should be thinking about. And they've mastered a concept when they can teach it to other people. They should see the pattern. Have they seen the pattern? And can they teach it to others? Let me wrap up with this. I promise the next 5 minutes here. Number one, machines can now compute, but math cannot replace, but AI cannot replace honest argument, wonder, moral formation, mathematical tastes. The question is no longer whether a child can compute, it's whether a child can reason, judge, and see the truth, right, beneath the calculation. Let me say this as a quick heads up. I have tools that can teach people mathematics very well, efficiently. Applications, websites, and so on and so forth. And I know people that say, well, Amos, why don't we just automate the system so then the children learn the mathematics and they don't need to come to class? Well, I'm here to tell you guys something about my view on this. And here's my view. I think we need more teachers right now, not less. There are people in the school of thought that say, let's reduce the number of teachers, like let's have AI do some of the math stuff, the teaching and so on, or like trying to provide the students with the tools, and then we don't need as many teachers. Amos is here to say, no, I want everyone who has access to some of the tools I build to also have a coach. And that is part of why I'm doing this also, is because I want to see as many coaches from around the world get the tools they need to teach the students effectively. So for example, there might be a student in Chicago learning mathematics using my tools, but they're getting some instruction or guidance from a tutor from this call from Kenya or from Zambia or from Nigeria. Do you see my point? Or from Australia. Well, actually, their time zone is so different that it seems hard to coordinate with Australia sometimes. But the point I'm trying to make is this. Imagine if every child in every community can answer the question with confidence, who is your math coach? My math coach is Mr. John. My math coach is this person. Does that make sense? That's what I'm also trying to build within our team here, is more and more people who just help out here and there, because we have a global shortage of math fluency. So remember what I said in the beginning, this story in Nigeria that I think carries some weight, we got to change it. If you want to build a ship, do not drum up the men to gather wood. Divide the work and give orders. Instead, teach them to yearn. Like, you do not just drum up the men to gather wood and divide the work, but you teach them to yearn for the vast and endless sea. This is Africa's moment. As I said, the backbone of AI is not experimental science alone, it's mathematics. So the commodity the world needs now is the subject that doesn't require a lab, it requires a mind. So an African child with a mind sharpened in mathematics can build technology, master AI, step into the global economy from any village with electricity and a screen. The door has never been this wide. Now, please note, I'm not saying that we should learn math just because it helps in this, or just so people are able to make money and this and that. But making money can help them in a healthy way to solve problems in their community, right? Build their own hospitals and so on. So that's part of what I'm trying to get at also, is that we are living at a time where we can equip young people, and we can use mathematics as a tool to really get a lot of people out of poverty by helping them use the very tool that the world is looking for. What does year-round formation look like? We've already talked about this. We're doing these monthly meetings. I'm building more textbook materials. I want to collaborate with more people here to write. We want to write more math history. We're going to be doing classical readings, parent coachings, and then let's start thinking of the vision of setting up hubs all across Africa. So all the people who are in Abuja, for example, how about we meet together, right, in Abuja at a certain day, and we all just get to do some discussions around some of what we're talking about over Zoom. Those who are in Lagos, those who are in Zambia, those who are, and then even some other people in the UK might get together once a quarter or whatever, once a year. My point is, we also need to get these little hubs where we can have some interactions as well. So, yeah, I think that test scores have a place, but you want more mathematics like you want your students to know mathematics well and not just get the test score. If you are tired of curriculum that asks children to memorize and they never get to understand, especially after 5th grade or primary 5, after primary 5 or 5th grade, your children really need to be making some serious connections in the logic phase of classical education. The grammar phase, I understand. Let's sing songs, let's master numbers and addition, subtraction, multiplication, and so on. If you want to teach your child at home, you can use all these curriculum details, of course. And then if you lead a classical school in Africa or US or anywhere and you want a more rigorous math spine, we would love to share that with you. And if you see, in terms of those who are more in the technical field, if you feel like more math is needed, right, then I think this is also a tool that you can use. So you sense that the age of AI demands not less formation, but more. And that formation piece is this. When I teach math or when I teach anything, I'm thinking about the person in front of me. Like I want to help them flourish as a human being. So if there's opportunities to inspire and encourage them, then I should want to do that, right? So do not give your children false mathematics. Help them to love it, to love the real thing, right? The patterns, the proofs, the slow seeing, the great tradition, right? So that's what we're trying to accomplish all here. You guys are already here, so you don't have to worry about any of that. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. It's already 7 minutes past the hour. But if you could just take maybe a couple of minutes, are there any questions, thoughts, comments, objections before we land our plane for today? Let me open it up for questions. I'm going to stop the video here. Give me 1 second. I'm going to stop the live stream. Please, are we able to type in the Q&A? Let me see 1 second. Or what we can also do is we could use the WhatsApp channel. Okay, it's working. Okay, thank you. Okay, well, I am so sorry we went over the hour. And what I'm hoping to do is that next time we'll have more time to discuss more, maybe some more hands-on side to the discussion. I will keep us informed as far as any other resources, but please, can people let us know? Sorry about the lighting here. Can people let us know if there's any division you want to be a part of? Let us know, and then we can go from there. Let's see.